Okay, good morning. Okay, so rainy day. Difficult, right? Understand. Online, camera, right? Okay, so today we will get on to the presentation in a minute. A couple of things. I suppose few of you wrote to me saying that you all are working on a very tight timelines and that you all need more time to submit the report. Now, before I answer that question, anybody here who has not got in touch with their company that they are supposed to study? Because I definitely know one didn't. The gentleman is not here. You all managed to get in touch, right? Finally, that was sorted out, right? You all are okay now, right? So that's two. Anybody else who hasn't had a chance to connect? Aventura, where is Aventura? You're all okay. Where is Blue Ocean? You're all okay, right? And where is Hatch? You're all okay now? Brinda spoke to you? Right. Okay. So I think more or less we are okay. So finally we are moving on. So coming back to the question about extension. Okay. So you were supposed to give it on the 13th, is it? Or whatever date? Okay. Can't remember it. Okay. That's all right. On that day, you'll remember it. Okay. Then 14th, I think your individual submission, and 15th or 16th your presentation or whatever. Okay. Sorry, 17th Sunday is your presentation and so on. So since some of you couldn't get in touch with the people and there's been a bit of a delay, what I will agree is that for all of you to submit your final presentation, your final report, and the individual submission on Saturday, the 16th. Okay. So you have extra 4 days. Yeah. Why? Yeah, extra 2 days. Hey, I thought you were supposed to submit on 13th, ne? 14th. 14th was a report submission. All right. So extra 2 days. All right. If you like it, take it. Otherwise, please submit on the 14th. Right? I'm okay with either. Gets the same marks. So until 16th midnight, you can submit. I'm not going to be too strict about it, but definitely by 16th, you need to submit. Any day between 14th and 16th is all right. Okay. So I'll let you decide what you need to do, because at least gives you a Saturday, one extra Saturday to work through it if you have to as a group. Okay. Generally wouldn't do that, but I think I understood the problems that you all faced. Right. So that is that. Any questions on the submission required? All good. All right. Number 2, exam. I had a meeting, long chat with Dr. Asanka and Mr. Ranapura. Now, I told them that the issue is I'll be uploading the case. You all will be submitting the report. So they confirmed it is a written exam in class, not online or take home or whatever you all call it. Okay. So you got to come in here, do the exam. There's no choice there. Apparently, it's now that's a sort of setup going on. So I asked about this open book versus closed book. They said it's up to me, but they prefer closed book because that's a general trend. But I told the problem about submitting the case, and then you all can come back with the answers already written and copy it. Sorry, I didn't say that. They would have thought that. Right. I wouldn't say things like that. So I have 2 choices here to solve that problem, right? And I'm happy to listen to your opinion, which doesn't count much anyway. I'll still give you a chance. Number one, either I give you the case study the night before, let's say 24 hours, then I give you open book. So whatever you can write in that 24 hours, you come and write, copy, whatever, sorry, write, not copy, whatever you all like to do. Or I give it 7 days before, and we keep it as a closed book. Now, I know all of you would say, no, 24 hours is more than enough. We're just going to copy each other's work, blah, 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 right? So I'm just trying to be fair to you as well as the university. It doesn't matter to me because in the sense, if it is going to be 85 marks for you, I'm going to give you 85, provided there's something to read. So if I give you 24 hours before, that is on the 30th of September, you all can write the exam on the 1st. Is that a reasonable? And keep it an open book? Yeah, rather than open book is more open notes. Books you don't need. I don't have any books from me. Make sense? Right? So 30th September, I will upload, and first you can do the exam. I am also told it's a long weekend, 4 days, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday is your exam. So I was trying to ask them whether there's a chance they can be flexible on the date so that you all can have a break. Because I think this is your last subject or last thing that runs, and then you are into the thesis stuff. So they said they can consider, but I am yet to hear from them. Yeah, that's just being nice to you all. Because when you see the marks, you won't be very happy. That's why. Good. So we agreed 30th submission, 30th I'll upload. First, you will write the exam. I don't know what time exam is on the 1st. So you will have limited time to prepare. Let's put it that way. So, is that all right? Yeah. Any concerns or questions? No. Okay, good. Coming back to the 17th. Now, the directors or CEOs have asked me that they may not be able to be here, some of them. Some of them, they said they will try to come or log in, whichever is okay. They wanted me to record your session and send it to them. Okay, your 20 minutes or whatever presentation. They said they will send me some questions to ask, which I will do, and you all will need to respond to that. Okay. What I suggest you do is not to send the report before to them. Right? That is, if you have finished a report, submit it, let's go through it. And then, whatever the questions, if you need to address, you can address and send it back to them. Okay. So once the session is over on the 17th, then you can send it back to them or send it to them. Okay. All good? No questions, huh? All right. Okay, fine. So that is all the administrative stuff. And I will try to mark your exam paper within a month. And if this time I am marking it. I have told them last time before disaster. Yeah, because a lot of papers are come back to me for remarking. So anyway, I think I will mark it this time. I said, it's all right, I'll find the time. Because actually marking an exam paper is very easy. It's very easy. It doesn't take a long time like people think. Once you start reading a paper in the first page itself, you know the pattern of writing, the thought process of the student, and what I can expect from them. Right? The most difficult part is marking the best student and the worst student. So that's very difficult because you can't just give 100% and you can't just give 55%, right? I mean, you got to be fair. Others are, more or less, okay, they are on the right curve. So it doesn't take that long, but just that In this case, I will struggle because of your handwriting. Because if it's typed, I know it will be easier to read and less spelling mistakes, and I will understand what you're trying to say. When you handwrite it, I'll have to dream what you're trying to say and then sort of mark it. So it's a bit of a difficult process, but let's see. I think we need to move on. I told the university they need, as you know, I'm on the board of the university, and I have told them they need to upgrade. You know, I quoted the example of Cambridge, Harvard, or the top universities, how they are moved on. Right. So I'm pushing them. Let's see what happens. Okay. So that is all sorted, exam sorted, your assignment submit on the 16th midnight. Only thing is I won't get a chance to read it. I would have loved to have read it before I came here, but that's okay. I will hear your story when you tell. As for the presentation, please, the group, it'll be nice if the group is here. If not, I understand, that's okay. At least 1 or 2, 3 from the group, it's better to be there. Right. Now I have a practical session as well, which we need to start. There's not many online as well. Let's start with the presentation. Okay. I think let's start with the presentation. So, and then we'll come to the session. Right. So group 1. Yeah. By the way, thank you for doing the presentation. I know some of you gave it, emailed it to me. Where is Gehan? Oh, is he not here? All right, listen. You want the mic? Yeah.
So good morning, everyone. Okay, so this case study is about a medium-sized apparel company. They started initially, and then after 5 years, this company was acquired by a company, some traders from UK. So this is an apparel company, and the traders also, they are also in the apparel trading business. And the case study is talking about a lot of problems, so we'll discuss about that. So the approach for the case study is, first we understand the company's strength, the SWOT analysis we did to understand the strength, weakness, and opportunity threats. So first we go with that. So this is a summary of the company's strength, weakness, and opportunities and threats. So the first thing is the company's owners who are residing in UK, they are in the apparel business. The company also having textile business. So it is one of the strengths because they can get a lot of business from UK. And there's 60% of business coming from the owners. So they have solid 60% confirmed business. That is one of their strengths. And then when you look at the MD, he's having a lot of financial background, and also he's worked in a lot of other companies. He worked with the social activities. So for apparel company, it's a employee intensive company. So if the owners already having with strategical knowledge and with, they're involved with people, it's a very important skill for them. So we consider that also one of the strengths of them. And when you look at the weaknesses, there are many weaknesses. They're already having rejects, financial is not good. They're having revenues there, but their final profit is going down. And regarding the absenteeism, it's continuously, it's a big problem for them. And the machineries are very old. And the rejection rate is very high. It's 8% is very huge in apparel company. And also they're having a lot of air freight cost. So that is one of the things hinders the profitability, because they are having good revenue. If you look at the curve, it's going, it's like kind of a stable revenue, but the profitability is going down because of the excessive cost. And when we look at the opportunities, the case study, it is said that the company, the competitors who are in the same region, they're doing well, which means they're already having enough number of orders, but this company is suffering. So the similar things, since the company is suffering, the other companies are doing well, meaning this is a threat for them. So we consider it as a threat. Then our analysis, first the new MD is putting a mission. So we look at this mission and what is the current status of the company. The mission, we just extracted 3 things. So the mission is talking about they want to be a niche in the market. But if you look at their products, they are doing a lot of varieties of product, T-shirts, shirts, and lady garments and all. So they are not focusing niche, but that is mission is to be niche. And when you look at the quality, they're saying they want to be the best quality garment supplier. But if you look at quality, the mission versus actual is very low. And then they're saying that they want to have a more cutting edge state-of-art technology, but the machineries are 7 years old. So there's a mismatch between the missions and the current status. Then we did a competency mapping. So we did not completely put each and every competency what you need, but we analyzed the case study. The biggest problem with this company is really something HR. The company need a complete restructuring. These are some of the summary. For example, GM, he's an electronic-based person. So he worked in UK, everywhere, but all of this work, he was under the capacity of electronic engineering. But this is an apparel company. So we need a separate, different type of skills, knowledge, and personal attributes to manage an apparel company. This is one of the biggest problems they're having. And when you look at the merchandising manager, he came the company as a clerk, and then he was being promoted to become a merchandising manager. But for an apparel company to manage the business, you need a different type of skills in terms of negotiation and communicating the cost with your suppliers and your customers. And then we see there are several complaints about the company's maintenance. So it seems the maintenance manager is not capable, because in the case study it is mentioned there is a kind of a misunderstanding between the previous managers and the maintenance team. So it is a serious problem. There is no proper communication and understanding between these two parties. So the maintenance manager is also don't have enough knowledge and skills and competency to be to maintain to have that capacity. And then we look at the case study. It says that the finance manager is instrumental to build the architect, the IT department. And also the MD mentioned in one state that the MIS information is not reliable. It seems finance manager can sanction the finance and thing to make IT department, but they must have a proper IT manager to manage IT related things. So it seems companies don't have a proper IT manager. This is a competency summary of that. And then we did a root cause analysis. I understand it's very messy. Maybe you can't read it everything, but I can put a summary. So we took the low performance as the key problem. And then we identified three categories where we can do improvements. So one is the merchandising management and training and competency management and the process management. So we put, because the company don't have the case study saying they're not getting enough orders. 60% orders coming from the owners and the 40% they need to get from the existing business. But since seems the merchandiser is having only one merchandiser and his assistant. So the first thing is the department itself, they don't have enough remote resources to manage the merchandising business. So that we need an improvement for that. In the process, we saw that in the stores, they're having a lot of problems. There's a bottleneck in the stores. They couldn't get the product on right time. So being a production manufacturing company, they must think about implementing lean manufacturing. So they can do a 5S implementation, or else they can do a just-in-time system. So it's look like these companies don't have a right lean system inside the organization. So that is one problem. And training and competency management is a real big problem. So they need to improve, they need to provide the right training, and also they must have a proper HR system. This company says there are 400 operators and there are a number of other administrative staffs. But if you look at the HR system, they have only one personnel manager. So one of the drawback of the company, they don't have a strategic human resource thinking inside the organization. So this is, so now we analyzed the SWOT, and then we did the cause and effect analysis. So I put this question, we covered the answers in our previous session, but just a summary of the things. So first question is why Tulip Limited has not been able to achieve satisfactory level of performance. So right. So this is the summary of the answers. So they don't have a proper machineries, and they don't have a training and skills development. There's a huge gap in the competency, and the labor retention they need to get, because their absence are very high, and the raw material management, because in the stores is very messy, and they don't have a production planning system, because the problem is GM is looking into production management. He's not ready to let go. He should appoint a proper production manager. So most of the time he's spending his time on these production, but GM responsibility is something different. That is one of the drawback of this company. And the quality control is really a problem. and the technology integration. So these are not available. That's the reason they are not performing well. And then it's talk about this is about talking about the competency of the senior management. That's we already covered. So this is the summary of competencies. You can see, so we identified what are the skills required for each and every manager. So these are the kind of skills we want. So, but the company is missing, lacking on these things. So we suggest this company to look into this and find the right people, and also provide the enough training and development to the existing staff. And this is the third part, the key part of this case study, that what we are going to suggest for this improvement of this company. So here, it's look very tiny. I hope you can read it. So I can. So some of the suggestions I can highlight. The first thing is lean implementation is very important for them. They don't have right lean system. That's a big problem. And also the case study, the MD is mentioning that he's unable to, the MI system is not reliable. So we understood the finance manager he did that. But the problem is they don't have a separate dedicated IT team to handle that part. So they must put a separate IT team to handle these information system, then it's become more reliable. And also they want to give enough training for their administrative staff as well to handle this matter. And also when we say, for example, the machineries, it's 7 years old and they are facing a lot of rejections. The GM don't know, they don't have a clue where it's coming from. It is because of the employee training is not enough, or the machineries are old. So the suggestion is they have to look at the both sides. They need to, according to their mission, they want to think about putting cutting edge state of our technology to improve their production. Meanwhile, they want to provide the right training to the employees. I'm highlighting only the key items. One of the very important things is, as I said initially, the company really the first thing need a complete restructuring, especially the general manager. He must be able to understand the textile business, because it is a human-centered business. So he need to take care of the employees, their motivation, and provide enough training and development to the thing. So he must be a right person to manage the apparel business. So then so a few more is operational related challenges. They need to think about their strategy according to their mission. So if they want a niche, they must have and also one more thing I forgot to highlight. This case study did not talk about other stuff. So if they want to go over a niche market, they must have a right product development team who can think about making a right apparels, right garments. They want to decide which garment they are going to work, because they are scattered, like they are stitching different types of garment. If their mission is to be a niche, then they want to find the right product. So they must have a proper product development team to find out what is the garment they are going to do and how they are going to market. So they must have a proper merchandising team as well. So they are 60% coming from the quota and 40% they want to find. So they must have a separate merchandising team. One is to handle the 60% existing business and the 40%, and they must have another different dedicated team to look into this 40% business to find new orders. So these are some strategies. So they want to have a leadership training, and then they should, that's what I mentioned in the fourth point, they must have a different merchandising team to look into the 60%, 40%, two different types of business. And they have to collaborate, and so we can see there's a complaining culture in this company. Previously, the 3 production manager has left the company because they complain about this maintenance issue to their maintenance manager. Nothing had happened, but the maintenance manager is there for 20 years, which means he's somewhat maneuvering everything, and people are not happy with him. They are leaving. So this is one of the problem. We can say it is organizational politics. The HR and the MD should think about this and try to change this organizational culture. So that's a summary of this case study. So any question and things?
I have some. You can sit down. Okay, so thank you very much for the analysis. I know a lot of effort would have gone in to do that. Having a textile background, I'm sure helped him. Hydermanis, right? You are? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so textile background helps, because I was trying to think, how did he get some of those nitty-gritty stuff, which is only very specific to the textile industry. Obviously, thank you very much for this analysis, right? Let me just As I go along, I will give you feedback. Okay, this is not on just on his presentation, but what I pick up. And that's what you need for your final day on the 17th. This is what you need to have. Good presentation, good content. Okay. Now, what as a consultant, what you must start using is more diagrams. Right? Very important. For example, he captured the right information. They are staggered. They are not in the niche market. Their machinery is old and so on. Yes, that is good. Now you need to put that into a diagram. How do you put that into a diagram? Either use a BCG metric saying your cash cow is this. You should be looking at the 40% you spoke about. You should be looking at the new markets, and so on. So you need to have shown that, yes, you know the stuff, but here is my presentation, and that needs to have the tools that we use. So SWOT analysis, you used it very well. That's very well written. And so on, right? The other thing is, there is no word called suggestion in our industry, right? We use recommendation. So always use recommendation because that's what you are telling. That's a proper way. The most important thing is when you do a presentation is you should know you are 100% sure of what you are talking. Right? So they must have understood that you have understood. And very important things like grammar, spelling mistakes, like font. Right? When you are making a presentation, font is very important. Right? Attraction, and so on. So these are the things I will tell you as we go along. So that's just few things I picked up. And but I must say, very good analysis within 7 days. And I know a lot of effort has gone into that. Also, when you are presenting, you must have a structure. Always have an agenda saying, this is what I'm going to go through it today. Right? I'm going to do the introduction. I'm going to do the analysis. I'm going to give my recommendation. I'm going to conclude, and so on. Right? Give a structure to your presentation. Right? I mean, he did an excellent presentation with the analysis. He started off with that. Right? So always start off with a background. What did you look at? Say, I came in, I looked at your company, I studied these areas, I looked at production, I looked at HR, blah, blah. So they know that you have been to all the sections. So you don't have to put that in a presentation, but it's like a background. You say that. So they know, okay, you have done your part. Then you go into the tools, the analysis, and then you come out through recommendation. Okay. So just feedback. This is nothing to do with the presentation that we did today, but it's for you to learn from that. Okay, great. Thank you, group one. My presentation stick USB. Right, group two. Okay, while we are waiting for that, how is I know some of you visited the companies, some of you haven't visited the company, which is also okay. No, it's okay. Everything I say, you all take it as a joke, man. What is it? It's okay. You don't have to go to the company. I mean, it will be useful if you go there and see the people and what they're doing. But yeah, so Did you all manage to do anybody did a survey? No, you all did. Okay, did you also did? You did it with the customers or internally? Internally. And you? Internal. External. Ah, brilliant. Okay, so I was hoping somebody will do that. Because those data is very useful actually. Okay, done? Here.
That's right.
Good morning. My name is Samantha Priyadarshana. I am representing the Group A2. So we are given a case of Tulip Limited. It's a medium-sized garment industry. It is located in Gampar district, local manufacturer. So under this case, we are given 3 questions. So my aim is to explain you the questions and the answers for the 3 given questions. First one is Tulip is having a big performance issues. So these are my performance issues when I see the cases. Tulip has gone down in their profit by 17%, and they have the low efficiency 55%, and they are having the high absenteeism at 20%, and labor turnover is 30%, and rejection is very high when it's come to the garment industry, it's 8%. So it is not easy to survive with 8% rejections. Then they have the machine breakdowns. So Tulip is having a really big problem in the market. So that's why we are going to have these performance issues, and we are going to find the solution, and we are going to have the action plan for the solutions. So these are the explanation of the unsatisfactory performance of the Tulips. So as we all know that they don't have a production manager. GM is looking after the production. So in the garment industry, it is very crucial the role of the production manager when it's come to the efficiency and the rejections and the labor turnover, because he is the first contact person in the production flow. But in this case, GM is looking after the production. So we find that unavailability of the production manager is as a key undesirable factors. Then the high labor turnover, when we know that when we have the 20% and 30% labor turnover and absenteeism, we have to replace the newcomers, and we have to put the unskilled people to the new machines. So that creates the rejection in the production flow. When we have the 8% of rejection rate, that we know that there might be a 15-16% defect rates. So, and there's no guarantee and the warranty that the defect doesn't goes to the market. So definitely Tulip customers may get the defective products from their suppliers. So that will create to the loss in the potential markets and the loss in the existing suppliers. Then the next one is that we know that the all the garment industry is giving the incentives and to have the motivation and keep their employees in morale. But we know that the Tulip has tried to implement the 3 incentive schemes, but it doesn't work. And due to that also people are leaving the organization. Then in the case that we find that the stores management have gone to the miserable condition, because sometimes they can't find the required material from the stores. That we know that in the garment industry there are hundreds of goods and stock keeping items are moving day to day business. So stores management has to be in the into the global level. Then we know that Tulip doesn't have that proper management structure, that they have the MD and GM, and they don't have a production manager, and they are most of the senior managers that they are not confident enough. They have come from the bottom level and they have gone to their existing levels. So those are the explanation for the unsatisfactory performance of the Tulips. Then the next question number 2 is that competency. We have to map the competencies for the senior management level of the Tulips. That we know that when it's come to the GM role, it's very important that the GM has to look after all the supply chain. He should be thorough with the knowledge of the production, quality control, engineering, and merchandising, and supply chain, all that. But in our case, that GM is the engineer, so most probably he doesn't have the knowledge on all the supply chain. So that may create the big losses in the company performance. That MD role is very important, that we know that MD should have the overall knowledge of the business and the overall knowledge of the management. But in Tulip cases, he is a finance guy. Because of he has gone to these few seminars, but few seminars, participate in few seminars, you can't have the oral knowledge of the business. So MD, in our case, that MD should have the oral knowledge of the business and he should lead the organization. And in this case, we have to change the management structure and the organization culture in order to improve the performance of the organization. So MD should be the change agent. So those are the companies that we are recommending to the management, and the merchandising management should have the entire supply chain knowledge. But in Tulips, it doesn't have. When it's go to the finance manager is a stores clerk, but so he have the part qualification in the finance. But when you are running a 400 people business in the government industry, finance, we are competing for the sometimes the few rupees and few cents in the some SKUs. So finance manager has a big role to in doing the question and all that. If he make a miss, that we know that we are going to lose sometimes the orders. HR managers, when you are managing 400 people, especially ladies, so HR has to be in the perfect level. But in our case, that HR managers, we don't have HR manager at the Tulips. So we are proposing that HR manager should have the competency, and competence should be there to have the HR function and the counseling and mentoring that the people, those especially ladies, when they have the problems. So here they don't have that facility. So people are sometimes, maybe due to that also, people are leaving because there's no people to listen to their grievances. When it's come to the IT, that IT has a big role when it's come to the stock management, that we know that it has gone to that not only in our stocks, people have moved to that suppliers. People can see the supplier stocks and the customer stocks sometimes nowadays. But in Tulip cases, even they can't see their stocks, so they are finding difficult to find the stocks keeping items and retrieve their items in the stock. So I think we have to improve the IT system. So IT manager has to be recruited. Question number 3 is that our proposals for this performance gap. Our proposal number 1 is to immediately recruit the production manager, because we know that they have the 50%, 55% efficiency rate. It is not easy to survive. I feel happy that still the Tulip is surviving in the business, having the 55% of the efficiency and the 80% rejection rate. So we are proposing to recruit the production manager who is having the sound knowledge of the industry, total supply chain and the end-to-end business knowledge he should have. Then the high absenteeism rate may be sometimes because of the culture and the environment of the organization. So we are proposing to improve the culture and the organization structure and the facilities. And in this case, it says that the machines are old and giving lots of rejections. So we are proposing to look into the breakdowns and analyze the breakdowns and take actions to the machines which are creating more rejections. Next step is we are proposing that they can go to the AM implementation and PM implementation, preventive maintenance and preventive breakdowns they can take. Then the inventory management, we are proposing a MIS system for inventory management, because nowadays we can't have the books and keep the records and find the inventories. So they can have the effective inventory control system using the MIS system. Strategic level and strategic level planning, that we know that MD should create the company vision and the mission, but in this case that the GM has created the vision and mission. So creating the vision and mission, that total team should get together and think about the 2 years, 3 years ahead of the time and create a mission plan. But in Tulip mission plan that they are going to have the niche market and they are still producing the common garments, t-shirt, shirts and trousers like this. So their mission statement and their activities are not matching. So we are proposing to relook at their vision mission statements and the action to match their strategic plan to their vision mission achievements. Then when it's come to the when you have the 20% absenteeism and 30% labor turnover, training and development is a very vital role, because when the newcomers are coming, they are very likely to make the defective and rejections. So technical team should be thorough with their technical knowledge to train the newcomers. So we are proposing to the Tulips to have the very sound training and development plan, identify the training need analysis and do all the necessary analysis and do the thorough training plan and implement the training plan to the match to their requirements. So those are our proposals. Then the next, our action plan. So with the available resources, our team has developed an action plan for the implementation. We have categorized 3 actions: immediate action, short term and long term, and the budget. Budget figures we have put 2 because of the non-availability of the data. But this, in the consultation, you should have action plan, because your client is expecting the what you are going to do, how you are going to do, and what is the budget that you are going to have. So we are going to recruit the production manager immediately, because we know that 55% rejection rates, nobody can survive. Then the introduction of the new incentive system, because we want to keep the, I propose to recruit the newcomers and train. Then we have to sustain the skills people. So we are going to have the incentive systems. So machine breakdowns, we have to take immediate actions. We know that if the machines are not good in conditions, that machine gives the rejections. So maintenance manager and the team has to work on the machine breakdown corrections, and to preventive maintenance, we are proposing short-term and long-term plan. Then the stock keeping, as I explained, that we are going to have a long-term plan, and training and development immediately, short-term and long-term, we are going to plan, because we want to train the existing employees, because if they are making 80% rejections, we have to train immediately. Then the newcomers, and we should have the long-term plan, and because we know that the people have given the promotion in Tulips without thinking about their competencies and not giving the training, just because of the time spent there on the organization, they have given the promotions. So not like that, we should have the competency levels and their knowledge and skills for the particular levels. So according to them, we have to train the people. So with that, we are concluding our presentation. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, again, good presentation, good outcome. A couple of feedback, again, analysis, okay? So we need more analysis, more tools. Why we need more tools is that obviously you may have used it, but you may not have put it out, right? Like group 1 did a fishbone diagram, right? Which was quite well done, well put together. And that gives confidence to the client that you have actually used something to analyze, right? So more tools. Secondly, you gave data, which is good. But always when you give a data, compare it to something. So for example, if you say the attrition rate is 20%, right? Is that good or bad? I don't know, right? You are saying it's good. You're saying its attrition is good, which is good, but I am not sure whether it's good or bad. If you take the IT industry, right? If you say 35% attrition is good, because it's 50-60% normally. So if your company is running at a 35% attrition in the IT industry, is pretty good, because the guys just come and go as if they are, you know, whatever, right? So when you give a data, compare it to saying industry standard is, I don't know, in your case, I don't know what the apparel industry standard of attrition is. You can say apparel industry standards is 12%. Okay, therefore 20% is too high and you need to curtail that. Okay, rejection rate. You mentioned rejection rate. What was it? 8%? Right, 8%, right? Yeah, is that good? It's not. But for me, 8% is nothing. So what? 8% in the apparel industry is probably not good. I don't know, right? Probably what? 1%, 0.5%, 2%. Less than 1. Okay. So around 1%, let's say. Right? So then you say, wow, industry standard is 1%, I'm getting rejected at 8%, I better wake up here. Right? So when you give data where you can, this is common, I'm just talking to all of you, give industry standards. Or if you don't have industry standard, give your competitor standard. Right? But for example, MAS is at, I don't know, 3% or whatever, right? Okay. The other thing is, now, when you are making a presentation, be very careful to, it's very difficult, very sensitive. Any presentation when you are making, be careful who the audience are. Now, if you come and say, get rid of your production manager and hire a new one, and the production manager happened to be in the presentation, how will that look? Right? Or if you say, MD, you should be setting the vision, why have you set the GM to the vision? Why are you going with GM vision? And MD is the one who hired you. Right? So I'm not saying you shouldn't say that. I'm saying you should say it nicely. You should say it in a nicer way, right? If you are going to improve the production, we need to have a high-skilled, high-level authority or whatever the words that you want to use. You have to use it very carefully. The moment you spot somebody and you attack them, or you're not personally doing that, the moment you start saying something about them, they become very negative. So you must say, you must start off by the positive comment. Your production manager is good. He's working with whatever machinery he has, whatever people he has, but we need to support him to improve the performance, improve the, increase or decrease the rejection. That we need to support them. We can do that by, and then sort of slowly break the ice. Right? So it's all about how you say it. Right? If I come here and say, all of you are useless, right? You are going to fail this exam. But I come and say, no, I'm going to pass you. Don't worry about it. Later on, it's a different thing, right? But I tell you that you'll be all right. Okay, so you got to be careful, right? So when you present it, you're very careful. In a report, it's different. Report you can say, because report will go to the MD and you are speaking the truth. That is different. That's a written document. Presentation, you don't know the audience, who is there. So you have to be very careful. So that's some feedback. Analysis, very important. Tools, very important to use. And data is very important. Okay, so that's the feedback on that. Okay, so this is general feedback, and all of you, there'll be some feedback I'll be giving. So make use of that. All right, group 3, shall we have you? By the way, I was asking Mr. Ranapura whether we can change the way of examining you all, because I find these exams very boring. So one of the things I suggested to them is the case study I will be giving you, whether you all can do it as a presentation, right? Rather than writing, because, writing is all right. But, that's, even my son who is like 11 years old, he doesn't write anything, right? They're all on the laptop. So the world is changing. And, I was thinking, why should we write exams? If I can have individuals coming and presenting, like you will be doing for the thesis. Yeah, you will be coming and presenting individual presentations. So, obviously I need to sit through the 80 presentation, which is in my case faster to mark and faster for you to finish off than going through these 80 papers. Again, I'm going to bring this up with the board on the 14th.
Good morning, everyone. We are Group 3, and we're here to present our consultation report on Tulip Limited. These are the consultants involved. And what we'll be taking you through is firstly an introduction on Tulip Limited. Then we'll talk about the performance gap. We'll give our recommendations in terms of the core competencies required for people who play the different roles within the company. Also our proposals on the overall improvement plan, and we'll conclude. So as you know, Tulip Limited is a medium-sized apparel company. They were established in 1993 by a local entrepreneur. 5 years later, they were acquired by an apparel and textile manufacturer based in London. A trader based in London. They're located in an industrial area in Gampaha. They operate over 180 purchases of land within 2 buildings. The LTO is quite high. The industry average is around 15%, 13 to 15%, but they're at 30%. And their profit margins are depleting from what used to be a quite bad margin to an even worse margin. And from at first glance, the problem seems to be varying across people to process to cost. So to talk about the performance gap, what we identified was a 6-fold performance gap, again, ranging from people to process to cost. Firstly, personnel issues. There seems to be an absence of specialists in each of these areas. As you know, in the apparel industry, when you are a production manager, you are considered to be the god of the unit, and you need to know the unit from off the back of your hand. There seems to be multitasking issues where the store's clerk is acting as the merchandising manager, and whereas the reality is that the stores is in a really bad condition. There seems to be reliability issues where for example, all of the machines are maintained by just one person, who's supposed to be a street smart chap as well. And the GM is in charge of all the activities. And if you know, in apparel manufacturing, structure archetypes are a huge thing, where you look at the size of the company or the size of the production unit, and you have an ideal archetype in terms of how your hierarchy needs to flow. And here the GM seems to be controlling and being involved in every single thing from strategy to operations. There seems to be culture issues where, everyone seems to be focusing on the blame game. There's no real input being given, but just fingers being pointed. And the mission itself was single-handedly thought of by the MD, who considers himself to be the CEO, with no input from the staff. There's obviously cost control issues. There's high cost of failure, like garment rejects and air freight. And air freight is almost like a forbidden word in the apparel industry. And there seems to be layout issues, which is something we noticed because being manufacturing, it's really important to be spread across one floor. But Tulip Limited seems to have their manufacturing in 2 buildings, which again is not lean and can lead to transport waste. So to continue into the next part, I'll hand over to Pumi.
Right, so moving on. So in the, like my colleague just mentioned, in the 6-4 performance gap, one of the key areas was the people. So in this section, we'll be focusing on the areas of improvement that the company can have based on what they have at hand at the moment. So starting off with the managing director, he's a person who has a good financial background and an economics background, and who is someone who is more interested in learning about strategy and marketing, which we see as a positive outcome. But in terms of his ideal role, what an ideal managing director should be, he should have an overall understanding of the business processes where he himself will be able to give suggestions and see areas of improvement. Overall, in terms of leadership and negotiation and networking, he should be able to handle the situations properly because he's the person who is heading the organization. So having a clear vision is something that's really important, which we see is a little bit lagging behind in the current managing director. In terms of the general manager, he seems to be a person who steps up to the occasion, where even in the previous summary, we just mentioned that he's stepping up to the position of the production manager since the company currently doesn't have one. So having his background as an engineer, we believe that he needs to have an overall understanding of the company because a general manager is a second person in the hierarchy when it comes to an organization. So in terms of development, he needs to have an in-depth analysis of the business processes and a good knowledge on how to manage the crisis in case anything happens in the organization. So moving on to the production manager, the position is currently vacant at the moment. And for an ideal candidate for a production manager, he should have a proper professional background in the area of operations management, and he should be able to manage the current business, which is apparel. So having a background in the apparel sector will be an additional advantage for the person who is stepping up for the production manager position. So moving on, in the merchandising manager role, we see the person is an experienced stores, the person who's handling the position as a merchandising manager is having an experience in managing stores. However, he seems to have a bit of a challenge in terms of negotiations. So what for a person who can step in as the merchandising manager needs to have the, a good knowledge about coordinating with the suppliers, understanding them, negotiation, and doing the merchandising, having that merchandising process in place. So moving on to the finance manager, the current finance manager, even though he has 20 years of experience, I think the up-to-date knowledge and thorough knowledge about current business current financial knowledge is something that's really important to have. So we believe that budgeting, forecasting are areas that can add into his role, which will take the business to greater heights. In terms of the machinery maintenance supervisor, he has been a mechanic by profession, but in terms of taking the role to the next level, there has to be he has to ensure that periodic maintenance happens and that a maintenance cycle travels throughout. Finally, the HR officer position, the current company calls it the HR officer, whereas we believe that an HR team has to work on, especially because this is a manufacturing organization. So a professional in HR has to step up to this position, and that concludes the key competencies of the Tulip Limited. Over to Farhan to take over the presentation.
Yep, thank you, Pemi. Based on what we discussed so far, I think there were 6-fold performance gaps that we identified, and then this couple of slides will be focusing on the final management proposals that we as consultants will be making for Tulip Limited. And of course, starting with, before I go there were theories and management tools that were used in this whole process, starting from TPM, TQM, 5S, and also elements such as quarters change management policies, so that this whole proposal that we are making is more holistic and is adaptable to the organization. Starting with first, a talent management and a competency development framework for Tulip Limited. And of course, the proposal is to establish a strong talent management policy in Tulip Limited that would, address various issues that the organization currently has, including the personal issues that is focused in the first performance gap that we discussed. The theories that we use here is a competency-based management framework, the CBM framework. And of course, the benefits that we would be able to achieve in this is to ensure that the employees that we spoke about, 400 employees here, the skills are aligned with their job requirements, the challenge, the demand that it has. And of course, it will help to ensure the gap in the skill is reduced, and of course, bring the overall performance enhancement to Tulip Limited through this proposal. Second is to address the process challenges that it had. And in that proposal, our proposal is to redesign the processes and clarify the roles that each of these employees across the organization has, so that we eliminate various multitasking issues that we have identified across the process in Tulip Limited. We've used theories such as BPC, the business process re-engineering, BPR rather, and of course, RASI matrix from a responsible, accountable, consulted, informed thought process to bring clarity to the roles and responsibilities that people play in this organization. The benefits would be a streamlined process across the board that would, solve the role conflicts, solve the process challenges, and of course, improve management of various processes across Tulip Limited. Third, a total productive maintenance, a TPM, and of course, the theory that we have used here is TPM across. The proposal is to implement TPM policies, principles across the board, including, to solve reliability issues that we've seen in maintenance processes. Benefits is, of course, through, KPIs such as OEE, how we could bring in benefits such as improved machine reliability, and then reduce the downtime that we've seen in the machines across Tulip Limited, and of course, overall bring enhanced performance to Tulip Limited. The last three, of course, focus in the last three performance gaps we've seen is to bring employee engagement and a shared vision so that everyone works more, with a sense of urgency towards a strong shared vision. And of course, the relevant theory that we've used here is Kotter's 8-step change model, which, focuses on a sense of urgency to bring a shared vision to the organization and bring in the change management strongly. And of course, the benefits that we would see here is that a stronger, enhanced employee engagement across the board that would, bring a solve this blame culture that, our team spoke about, and of course, bring more increased alignment to the organization shared vision to deliver, high enhanced performance. Lean manufacturing and layout optimization is our fifth proposal to bring in that, lean manufacturing concept principles to optimize the factory layout. Dumidu was speaking about how there are two roofs in the organization. A better layout would enhance lean manufacturing and bring that optimization to the organization across. And of course, the theory and tool that we focus here is the 5S methodology that speaks about, the sort, set in order, shine, standardize, and sustain model. And of course, we've also looked at how it would reduce waste and bring in more optimization to the processes. Last is cost analysis, understanding the challenges that the organization has seen from a cost perspective, whether it's air freight, whether it's waste. We've also brought in a proposal that there should be a comprehensive cost analysis that needs to be done so that there can be quality improvement methodologies so that we could bring down rather the cost of the organization. The theories here is things like activity-based costing, and of course, total quality management policies so that there can be overall quality enhancement policies to bring in the reduce operational cost to the organization, and of course, enhance quality and reduce wastage that we've seen in the organization. That brings into the conclusion of our proposal as consultants in the group 3. Of course, like Dumidu said, Tulip is an organization that's focused in apparel. It has been there since 1993 through a local entrepreneur. We've seen performance gaps in the organization, starting with margin dilutions, and the performance gaps were ranging across people, process, and cost. We've seen and we've identified 6 performance gaps specifically in this people, process, cost element. We've identified roles and competencies that the senior management needs so that there is overall enhancement to the performance of the organization from a people perspective. And of course, the key management proposals that we've made are focused around tools and theories across CBM, BRR, RASI, TPM, Kotter's 8-step change model, ABC to TQM, and our final proposals that we've made, or rather, let me change my word, the recommendations that we made as consultants are across talent management, process redesigns, TPM, employee engagement, lean manufacturing, layout optimization, and last but not the least, cost improvements through cost analysis, so that there is overall performance improvement across the three elements that we spoke of: people, process, and cost. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the presentation. Interesting, especially the initial analysis obviously comes from having experience in MAS, textile and so on. Couple of things, just not feedback, but I would say when you start a presentation, set the scope. Okay, why are you here? Right, so that you don't talk the length and the breadth about the company, right? You are here to do a specific study, and this is your scope. This is what you looked at. This is your scope, right? And this is what you will be doing. So obviously they had the agenda and so on, which is fine. So scope is very important. Secondly, presentation secondly, you got to be when you got to be careful when you are putting up something like this. Now, when I looked at it, I looked at the bottom left, and I thought these guys belong to the Pro Tour, right? So obviously, it depends what the client sees, right? You got to be careful what the client sees. Okay, these guys belongs to a certain family, I suppose. And, you know, the other thing is with regards to the presentation itself, which is fine. We was very words, lot of words, like Donald Trump, lot of words, right? No masala, right? So need to see pictures, speaks 1,000 words. Now, you presented very well. You used the analysis. You have used a lot of tools. I can see that, but it's just words. Okay. So if you have put it into a picture and a lot more, I would say, pictures, and then it will give you some sort of, you know, memory to say, okay, this is what they are talking about. Because remember, whoever you are presenting to, they may not know all the terminologies that you are used to, right? You can talk about this, all these things that you have studied. They may not mean nothing to them, but when you put it into some picture, they will understand what you are talking about. Finally, time management, very important, right? You can have less slides, that's okay. More slides, that's also okay. But if you are given certain time, because these people are busy people, right? You got to manage within that set time. Okay, all right. Thank you very much for that. Shall we have the next group?
Good morning, everyone. Today we are representing the group 4, the consultant team appointed for the analysis of Tulip Limited case study. So when we are going through this case study, we identified some performance gaps, and we have depicted it on a cause and effect diagram. And then we will be talking about the core competencies and the roles of the senior management that should have. And finally, we will give the recommendations for the issues we identified in the cause and effect diagram. First, we will go to the fishbone diagram. Here, when we are studying the case, we identified main issues in HR, production, and finance, and finally sales and marketing. In HR management, the main issue they have is their management team is not performing well. This may be due to they are not having proper management structure. Then their competencies are not enough for these roles. That is due to they don't have a proper recruitment policy, and also not having training plans. The absenteeism rate in this company is about 20% per month. This is due to not having a proper leadership to guide them. And after that, the turnover rate is 30% annually. This may be due to improper incentive plans they have, although they have an incentive scheme that is not going well. In the production, main issue is the higher reject rate due to use of old machinery, and also they don't have a skilled workforce. Those may be the reasons for the higher reject rates. And then the low efficiency in the company due to improper maintenance of the machines, and also due to they don't have a proper layout planning. And then when it comes to the finance management, their cost for delivery cost is very high because they can't produce the products on time, and as they don't have a proper production plan due to because they don't have production manager. And then the inaccurate financing and the costing. This is due to the warehouse improper warehouse management because they don't have a warehouse manager in there. Then the less number of products in the product portfolio. Although they are focusing on the niche market, they don't have they only have a less number of products in the portfolio. They are unable to complete the current products they have. That may be the reason for that. And then the low profits. This is due to inaccurate costing. Then I'll go through the roles and the core competencies of the senior management. First, the MD. MD is the guiding person or the leader in the company. So he should have a strategic plan, and he should guide the company and the followers through the mission, vision, and the core values of the company. Also, he should have an overall idea about the company and all the finance, maintenance, and everything. So he must look the future and invest on machinery because they have all machinery now. Then the GM, he has experience. He don't have any experience in the apparel sector. So we are recommending he should work with the production manager and should have that experience and the exposure in the textile industry in order to identify the gaps in the organization. Then the production manager position is vacant, and the vacancy must be fulfilled with an experienced person in the textile industry, because he has to identify the gaps in the current production process, and he must give the solutions for those problems in the future. His target must be the improve the production efficiency as well as the quality of the products in the company. The maintenance manager, they don't have a maintenance manager, but they have a person who has the experience in the company for many years. So we are recommending to have him in the company and recruit another person who is having novel knowledge, maybe an engineer. Then they can together work in the company and look about the machines currently they have and the machines they should buy in the future. They must recommend the need for the new machinery to the higher management. Then the finance manager must, he's the current finance guy, he don't have a, he is not a qualified person. He need to have the qualification because he has experience, 20 years of experience. Becoming, they should make him a qualified finance manager, and he must improve the MIS and also the data entry in the company. And his team must overlook the data entered data and double check the data for the accuracy. HR manager has a lot to do in this company, and his main role will be the recruitment of the vacant positions, because those are very important to have in the company. And also the incentive plan must be improved by the HR manager to retain the people in the company. Finally, the all other positions are important, but should not be fulfilled immediately. But when we go through as they based on the priority and the performance, they can recruit those persons. Now I invite Pavitashini to do the rest of the presentation.
Thank you, Tulini. So we have analyzed the current stake of the company, the issues that are pertaining to the Tulip Limited, also the gaps in performance. So in order to address the gaps in performance as well as to address the issues that are being faced by Tulip Limited, we as consultants have come up with certain proposals and recommendations that need to be implemented in the company to uplift the current state of the company to a better position. First of all, we have to introduce a proper organizational structure. And then the machinery replacement is vital. Along with that, standard operating procedure, SOP and checklist need to be in place. Also, we have to address the management issues of the company. And finally, it is vital to enhance the operational efficiency of Tulip Limited as well. So I will take you through all the recommendations that we have suggested one by one in the following slides. So first and foremost, we have to introduce a proper organizational structure with a proper flow chart and a hierarchy to the Tulip Limited. And we have to identify the people, those who better fit the positions in the hierarchy. Because currently we have a lot of managers who are capable to handle certain tasks and operations in the company, but then again, they are misplaced. They are not placed in the correct position in the hierarchy. So we have to identify the correct people, those who fit the relevant positions in the hierarchy, and shortlist them and place them in the hierarchy, and have a proper organizational structure to Tulip Limited before we move into any other action. Moving on. So what we suggest secondly is machinery replacement. After our observation, we came to know that the machinery that is being in use are very old, for more than 7 years. So it's high time that Tulip Limited replaces its machinery in order to enhance its performance and then the productivity. So that's also one of the reasons why they lack the required level of productivity currently at Tulip Limited. Also, there were complaints by previous production managers that there were issues with maintenance as well as cleanliness. Also, rejection rate that stands currently is 8%, which is quite high. So that needs to be addressed as well. So in order to address those kind of issues, we have come up with a recommendation to introduce SOP and checklist for maintenance schedules, spare parts management, and standard maintenance procedure. Moving on to our third recommendation. So it is vital to address the management issues that are being faced by the Tulip Limited. First of all, the training and development is required. We analyze that there's a gap in training and development in Tulip Limited. Irrespective of the level of the position the people hold, all the managers as well as the employees need to go through a proper training on the industry as well as the processes they are entitled to undertake. Also, we suggest to introduce an external consultancy scheme to enhance the productivity and efficiency of the company. Also, we have observed that the Tulip Limited have competitors who are small in size but are performing better than Tulip Limited. So we suggest to have a strategic alliance with those competitors to adopt their strategies and to bring the Tulip Limited into a better state. Also, we suggest to outsource and subcontract the non-core activities of Tulip Limited so that the Tulip Limited will be able to focus on the core activities and improve the productivity further. Moving on to the final slide. So it is important to enhance the operational efficiency as well. We have observed, so one of the main reasons that the companies lacking productivity and high level of efficiencies, they don't have key performance indicators in all their operations. Let's take the quality management, production management, operations management. In any case, they do not have key performance indicators. So it's vital to introduce key performance indicators. Also, we have to introduce a culture of continuous improvement. We have suggested Kaizen. So all the solutions that we suggest need to be implemented, and there should be some person in the company, not just one person, or everybody should practice the culture of continuous improvement, and it needs to be monitored continuously whether whatever the solutions or recommendations we propose are in place and they are being followed by everyone properly without getting back to the old habits. Also, process streamlining to get things into place. And as I have explained in the previous slides, the machinery upgrading, machine replacement, and SOP and checklist are vital. Also, the workforce training to familiarize the employees with the current process and the industry and how they have to handle their tasks in order to enhance the efficiency and the level of productivity. With this, we have come to the end of the presentation. Thank you.
Okay, so again, analysis is important. Tools are important, but no point putting up a tool that you yourself can't read. Okay, so it's very important that you take the key when you're making a presentation. When say something like this, is good analysis, very good. But in a presentation, this is not required. Okay, this is fine, huh? Fine for today. But I'm saying in a presentation, you take the key points. You take the top 3 for each of them, right? You can say there are others, but we have picked up the top 3. And you, for each one of those 4 items that they have identified, you pick the top 3 or 4 that is bothering, that you think needs a change, right? Of course, we are not going to do all of that. So it's no point. It's okay to have that as an appendix in your write-up, but it's very important that you are able to talk in detail about each one of those that you think is important to the customer or to the organization. So the font size, all that matters. The other thing is, again, timing. Okay, so if you're given 10 minutes of something, you must try to wrap it up in that 10 minutes. Okay, I'm not saying whether they took long or not, but because I was not timing. Again, diagrams, pictures, right? Make it more interesting, make it more memorable, right? People will look at that more than what is being written. The other thing, again, I'll go back to the scope, define scope, and also make sure that you are having an agenda and make sure that you are able to conclude or rather recommend your final solution to the company. Okay. All right. Can we have the next one?
Good morning, everyone. Today we are here to present the management consultancy analysis that we did for Tulip Limited. So walking you through the contents, we will talk about the company, the reasons for the failure, the management team, and the way forward. So to start off with an introduction to the company, this was started in 1993, which is a medium-scaled apparel company with 16 executives, 400 machine operators, and this is operated in 2 buildings in 180 purchased land. So we were able to identify the main aspects of failure. Initially, we can start off with the mission statement. So this addresses regarding what they are actually doing rather than what they want to accomplish or why they are existing in the field. Then comes the operation layout. So this is conducted in 2 buildings. So the layout should be more aligned in a single platform so as to reduce the operation time. So you can see they're working on different floors. So this increases the operation cost, and thus this is one of the failures for the organization. Then comes the skill gap. So you can see most of these executives, they don't align with their specialty. So as an example, the general manager who is an expert in electronic engineering, who is also doing the production field. So the store clerk who is also doing part-time merchandising. So there's a huge skill gap between these executives. Then the use of ERP and the technology. So due to the lack of management consultancy and their literacy, they need to improve and go ahead with the technology. Otherwise, this would impact the organization in a big way. Next comes the internal communication. So there are a lot of complaining, blaming, and pointing fingers at each other. So this is because there's no proper flow of smooth communication that should be improved. Then the next aspect is the human resource services. So there is a human resource manager who has, it's a serious role. So this officer should be able to actually be very empathetic towards their employees and hear the grievances, which is a serious load, and we don't see that happening in this organization. Next is the asset management. So there's a poor execution of stock maintenance as well as the machine maintenance. So this has increased their operation cost, which is impacting the organization in a huge manner. The next aspect is the forecasting, pre-planning, and the execution. So due to the lack of competency and the way of forecasting, they have been unable to forecast with their scenarios and getting ready with their next demands and the target delivery expectations. So these are the reasons of failures that we were able to identify during the analysis. So now I would like to invite Lakshan to continue with the presentation.
All right, we have identified the skill gaps and competencies that's required by the management of the Tulip Limited. So when we consider about the owner, he's a professional accountant, and what they required is the business thinking, because as we noticed that he's come from the finance background, but lack the business knowledge regarding how to manage a business. So moving towards the general manager, he's a professional in electronic engineering, but a general manager should be an administrative person who have the knowledge regarding running a business and managing the people. So in terms of machine maintenance manager, he's experienced in machine maintenance and was with the company from the start. So he knows about the company, he knows about everything. But when it comes to qualification background, he doesn't have that. So we recommend to move him towards the training program to develop his professional side. And then towards the finance manager, he's kind of a tech savvy person. He's more like a IT guy than a finance person. So we recommend recruiting someone under him, so then that person, the finance manager, can look after the IT side and finance side both at comparatively if we can recruit someone under him. Moving towards the HR manager, kind of mostly having the working experience in the Tulip Limited, none other than other companies. So we recommend that a person should have a professional qualification, people management, grievances handling, and escape gate identification, because that's a kind of a huge task when it's come to apparel industry, because everything depends on how machine operators operate. And moving towards the warehouse manager, he also kind of a guy who has only the working experience, and we recommend to have a professional qualification and lean management practices to reduce the cost arising on the warehouse side as well. So as a management team, we recommend what they lack and what they need to do in order to turn around this entire Tulip Limited platform into a next level, is to focus on strategic technical savvy team who focus on cost-driven strategies and optimizing the efficiency while achieving the ultimate goal of on-time delivery of finishing goods. So in terms of the way forward, as consultants, what we thought of would be great to have is 7-step strategies. That is to starting from the mission statement that it was developed by the managing director, and it's kind of a broad and a lengthy sentence that a machine operator or the associate cannot remember that easily. So we recommend to start with the mission statement and share it with everyone. Then we can look after identify the skill gaps of within the operation and within the management team. So because we have seen that the finance guy can do IT better than IT guys, so we recommend to identify the skill gap within the workforce. Then we we recommend to go for recruitment and subject specialist for the top management. As a fourth step, streamline the process by eliminating what that can be eliminated, like lean practices, and improving the processes through Kaizen and things. And as a fifth steps, that after the identify the skill gaps and everything, and we can improve the efficiency of the production itself, because people are motivated, people are encouraged to do things in a different way and look at the things in different ways. So it's clearly improve the operation efficiency, and we can pass that with a better incentive mechanism to encourage the machine operators and retain them within the workforce. And finally, develop performance KPIs which can monitor and improve later on. So as a consultant team, this is what we are recommending for our Tulip Limited as a consultant group. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Just few things I observed is fine. Again, diagrams. More importantly, spellings, okay? Be very careful when you're presenting. The other thing is don't use words like they, right? Don't separate them. Current status, required status. You don't need to say what they have, right? That is good for Ravi's presentation or, Asanga's presentation where you're looking at a case of something, right? You are supposed to analyze the case. These management consultants don't do those things, right? Now, I am yet to come to the other presentations. So the words are very important that you use. You feel them comfortable, make them make them part of your team and not make them feel that they are outsiders. Just wanted to talk about this slide. Good start. Very punchy, sets the stage, very attractive, and forms the what is expected. Very clear. So you're going to talk about the company, what is the issue here, the team, and then the way forward. Perfect, right? So I'm not saying the presentation was brilliant, but this is a good start to have a slide like this that is very focused, very punchy. Okay, right. Can we have the next?
Good morning, everyone. Today, we are going to present our consultation report on Tulip Limited. This is our consultancy team. And this is what we are going to talk about today. The first, we'll give an introduction about the organization, and then problem identification, which is followed by the problem analysis. And then we will talk about the required resources. And finally, we will recommend our solutions. So the Tulip Limited is a medium-sized apparel manufacturing organization, which is based in Gampaha district in an industrial area. And also it is having 400 factory workforce. And this is the actual problem in the organization. That is a poor performance in the organization. So as you can see here, the turnover is consistently dropping from the year 2000 onwards. And also the profit after tax is also dropping from 2000 onwards. So we have conducted a fishbone analysis, and these are the outcomes. The first one is old machinery and poor maintenance. So as per the vision of the organization, the company is planning to have state-of-the-art machineries, but the current machines are more than 7 years old, and also the maintenance is also not up to the standard. And that can be a reason for the higher rejection rate, which is 8%. And when it compares with the industry norm, which is 1%, so that is a very high value. And the next one is late delivery, which leads to air freight Actually, there are a couple of instances where this issue has been happened because the Tulip Limited cannot afford such a huge air freight cost. And the next one is post-order costing and high rate of absenteeism. So these are kind of HR related issue. So the last year absenteeism rate is 20%. That is also very high value when it compares with the standard in the industry standard, which is less than 5%. And in case of the labor turnover, that is also very high value. That is a 30%, and that is also very high compared with the industry standard, which is less than 10%. And as a result, the recruitment cost and training cost has also been hiking. And the next one is employee talent mismatch, which is a very high mismatch we can observe because there are some employees in higher positions who does not have proper qualifications. And the next one is critical positions are still vacant. For example, the production manager and merchandising manager are two of the major positions in the organization, so which is still vacant. And the next one is lack of reliability of reports generated by MIS, even though there's a MIS that is a kind of a outdated one. And manufacturing and operations are in two buildings, and high professional cost of errors, and organizational politics. So in case of organizational politics, most of the management board meetings end up without a proper resolution. So there is a huge problem we have observed as well. Next, I'll invite Takshila to proceed with the presentation.
Thank you, Kushan. As discussed earlier, we have seen Tulip Limited is facing several issues, and almost every department is performing poorly. This is because the lack of core competency levels of the senior management team of the company. Mainly general manager is very crucial within the organization, setting goals and objectives, budgeting and financial management, production overlooking, and performance evaluation are some of his responsibilities other than looking for the daily production. So the production manager should acquire the core competency levels of strategic thinking, and he should have the industry expertise and problem solving skills. So and the next we have some doubts regarding the machine maintenance and service manager, because the department is performing very poorly, as the rejection rate is around 8%, which creates a very costly things. So the we should hire a maintenance manager who can able to change the direction. So he should have the core competencies like planning, maintenance, and problem solving, innovation, and continuous improvement likewise. And the apparel industry, there should be a production manager in every factory. So the Tulip Limited haven't has a proper production manager. So the production manager should be a industry expert who can plan their production, and he should able to lead his team in order to get the right outcome. And next the company don't have a proper HR manager, so there can be seen so many HR related issues. So the HR manager should gain the competencies like strategic thinking and team building, training and development, talent acquisition, and related other areas. There are so many issues in merchandising department as well. So there should be a merchandising manager who are able to negotiate the things and control the cost while managing the vendors correctly. So with these core competencies, the organization can change their direction. With this, I will invite Arosh to conclude the presentation.
Thank you. This is actually the core of the presentation where we discuss about the recommendations. When we proposed recommendations, we thought about how we should categorize it. And we thought there are 5 main problems proposed by the managing director. So the solutions, if not the recommendations, should be categorized under each problem. Now, as you know, management is actually 4 fundamental practices: planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. We realized that within the organization, they have problems in almost all 4 areas. But when you focus on the high reject area, the fundamental problem, we came up with one of the solutions that is actually implementing a machine maintenance schedule. This is important because the business definitely need the machines that they're using, and their mission is to connect with the state-of-the-art technology. So implementing this type of schedule is actually required at this point of time. And then the qualified personnel for the job that is required at each level, from the MD to the store clerk. As you may have seen, they have a lot of vacancies in place. Multiple people, like same person is playing multiple roles. So that is not a sustainable practice. Definitely, they need a complete restructuring within the organization with shared responsibilities with the people with the right qualifications. And then we think they should progressively replace the old machinery. Progressively is the key, because this is an existing business. A business is all about the balance in all the areas. You can't just get rid of existing machines by investing a lot of money. So they should progressively do it. There should be a complete analysis focusing what should be prioritized, and then should be taken steps to progressively replace them. And then the training need analysis. Why? Because the high reject rate, they don't have a clear idea whether it is caused by the machines or whether it is the trainings that people need. So they have to cover that aspect as well, implement some sort of a training need analysis mechanism, and recognize the trainings and deliver them and measure them for their effectiveness at the end of the day. And then the second major problem they are having, late delivery causing air fry. So they don't have an approval policy in place. This is actually a process problem. So we believe they definitely need an approval policy for air fry requirements. And KPIs, organization entirely requires, definitely requires an entire KPI framework, but this needs to be governed by a KPI as well, with regards to who make the decision, how they evaluate the number of air fry decisions that they make likewise. And then we believe they should sign a contract with some sort of a provider, service provider for their air delivery, cargo, and transportation. How they can do it is actually call the quotations pricings from 3 different companies, get the lowest, and pre-agree on a agreed price for the future as well. So they will not be affected by the fluctuations in the industry. And lastly, customer consent for additional charges and urgent orders, because we don't believe that they can make it 0 when it comes to air freight. There will be situations they should be handled carefully by agreeing on charges that will be charged from the client. Last one, high absenteeism. So this is actually a problem at the organization. We believe a properly defined roster is required, and then a disciplinary policy governing absenteeism. And you might notice this connects back to our the second recommendation, qualified professionals in each area. The HR practice needs to be restructured. That connects to all these suggestions as well. And then lastly, we believe there should be an redesign in the incentive scheme, because they have an incentive scheme, not a one, apparently many. They have to make sure that it is redesigned with effectiveness in mind. So we have 2 other quick problems. I'll hand it over to my next colleague to take it over and conclude the presentation.
Thank you, Arash. So one of a vital issue that we have in Tulip Limited is absence of a reliable MIS report. So to address that issue, it is recommended to implement a proper ERP system, because currently they are having issues with the current stock managing system, and they can't retrieve some of the stocks which are there in the system. And after having a proper ERP system, it's it's important to have a data governance team also in the company, because we can then have internal audits and identify issues which are there in advance, rather than having a cost impact at later stages. And also it is important to give effective trainings to all the users who are using these MIS systems, because then they can get the issues into the highlight if they are facing any issues in the system itself. And when it comes to costing, as we are seeing year-on-year profit losses in the company, it is vital to have a proper costing model in the company. So we propose a data-driven costing model where we can have feedbacks from the previous costings and correct the mistakes that has been happened. And also it's important to have provisions for the contingencies. And moving on. So in conclusion, we have break down all these recommendations in the timelines, how we can implement them. There are some measures that we have to have implemented immediately, because the current status of the company is not so good. So actions like having critical recruitments done, and so things like that have to be implemented immediately. And when it comes to remodeling of the costing structures, we can have a medium-term implementation. And when it comes to solutions like having old machinery replaced, I don't think that the company can have that sort of huge capexes in place within their budgets in a short term. So there has to be planned in a long term. So that concludes the presentation, and the floor is open for questions and answers.
Thank you.
All right. So again, more analysis would be useful with diagrams and so on. But I thought this was interesting. This clearly shows immediately, without you talking or saying a lot of things, a lot of words, that the performance is going down. And you can start off with this as your slide, saying this is where you are. This is where, if you continue in this trend, it's a downward trend, and that's what we are here to see what we can do to turn things around. So there's this sort of diagram goes a long way, so that people can see, okay, not that they haven't seen this before. I'm sure they know it. Even in a company, they have seen this 100 times, right? But when you come and say it as an independent person and as a consultant, they take it seriously. Okay, so you need to understand that you saying whatever you say does matter to them, but they are finally paying you to say that. And also, most of the time, you would have had this sort of discussion with the CFO and in this case, CEO or MD, before you make the presentation, okay? And then, do be careful when you are presenting with words, right? Don't make people negative. They will react. Whatever you say, then they will start off saying, but you didn't do that study. You didn't look at this. You didn't look at that. And then you are bold. You don't want to take them that path. So you need to make sure that they are on your side before you start saying something. Okay. All right. And we have the next one. We are running out of time, so please keep to your 10 minutes.
Good morning all. Today we are going to present the case study on Tulip Private Limited. So the group B7, a group of consultants from group B7 analyzed the case on Tulip Private Limited. And we found out there's a lack of performance in the company. The main reasons we came up with are the planning, organizing, monitoring, and controlling of the organization, which is being carried out currently. So we found out that they need to achieve a satisfactory level of performance, and for that, planning, organizing, monitoring, and controlling aspect has to be increased. And then we move on to find out what is happening in the company. The leadership roles, they have to take the responsibility for the lack of performance. And there we identify main leaders, that means the company structure, the organizational structure has to be changed. So managing director, general manager, merchandising manager, and also the accountant and production manager are the main 5 roles that we identified. And we came up with some of the skills that they need to increase, and that means they have to sharpen. When we take the role of a managing director, his role is to give the direction, overall direction to the company, and vision and strategy has to be there to turn around the process that is currently being carried out in the company. And then for the general manager, they has to optimize, there's only one general manager. He has to optimize the operations and streamline the processes and ensure the efficient production process is being taking place in the company. And for the merchandising manager, he has to devise strategies to attract new customers and also go with the current clients that they have. And also for the turnaround strategy, the accountant has to play a vital role by having a stable cash flow in the company for the short-term users and also for the long-term benefits. And finally, the production manager, he has to ensure that the raw materials, proper raw material vendors has to be there, and also the process, the machinery, those things have to be maintained and effectively manage the employees in the company. And now Amanda will move on to the.
Thanks, Shani. So moving on to speak of the core competencies that we believe the management team should develop in order to implement an effective turnaround plan for the company are: first, the managing director at least should have strategic thinking and planning. This means being able to develop a compelling vision for the change and being able to communicate that effectively to all the employees. Next is crisis management, which is being able to understand and be proactive in responding to unexpected events in the changing environment. Supply chain management, managing quality from the time you're ordering your raw materials throughout production and until delivery is also quite important, especially considering your high rejection rates. Process optimization, which is managing your production to improve efficiency and reduce waste. Effective communication, also very important. Is we notice that in the company currently, there tends to be more of a blaming culture instead of working together to identify solutions that would benefit the company overall. Task delegation, again, we noticed that most of the leaders take great initiative in taking over roles where we don't have specialized people for the task, but it would be better in some cases where these roles could be delegated to professionals who have experience and expertise in that field. Time management and resource allocation, and of course, execution excellence, which means taking the vision communicated by the leadership and breaking that down into actionable goals and carrying it out. And sorry. Finally, our proposals for improvement. So first issue that we identified was the high rejection rates. For that, we suggest implementing a strong quality control system. This means from the time that you order raw materials until delivery, quality has to be maintained. This means training your employees appropriately, ensuring that your machinery is up to standard and is working functionally, and of course, having a proper communication system where if there are any snags throughout the process, it's communicated and addressed immediately. Supply chain management and communication is with the proposal we have for late deliveries and for the issue of having air freight. That means having proper communication with your supply chain and logistics partners so that everyone is aware of your ready buy dates and your delivery deadlines, and everyone is in communication with any delays and they can take action quickly to address any delays. And next is the issue of high absenteeism and turnover. As we know, there are already 3 incentive schemes established by the company, none of which were successful. So instead of just recommending another incentive scheme, we suggest that the company do a more in-depth root cause analysis using exit interviews or even speaking to current production workers to identify what is the actual pain point that is causing such dissatisfaction among employees, and then creating a scheme to address those issues. Next is the issue of unreliable reports. And for that, we suggest either improving your current MIS or introducing an advanced MIS so that the management has access to more up-to-date information and they can take more informed decisions. And that brings us to the end of our presentation. If you have any questions, please do ask. Thank you.
Okay, so that's fine. Thank you. So you can see, what matters is what you say and how you say it. And again and again, I'm seeing this, make it more personal in the sense of part of your team rather than segregating them. Of course, in your actual presentation that you will be making to the customers or clients week after next, you need to be mindful of what you are saying, in other words. Okay, so this is just a rehearsal, if I may call it. Thank you. Right, next M8 or M9.
Morning, everyone. So we are going to do a presentation for Tulip Limited. So as a consultant, our scope is analyze their processor, internal processes, and identify the gaps and issues, and give the recommendation for short and medium term. So these are our consulting team. There are 7 members. So these are session outlines, the company introduction, and we are going to move into SWOT analysis, root cause analysis, recommendations, and following up core competencies. This is a company background. So this is a medium-sized apparel company, apparel manufacturing company established in 1993. And the ownership bought by Trading House in London in 1998. And the senior management is Mr. Rimal Perez is a managing director, and Chandran Vatte Singh is a general manager. This is a mission statement. So when we are moving to the SWOT analysis, we have developed this SWOT analysis based on the points we have identified throughout the case studies and observations. So these are strengths. So the managing director is vast experienced person in many industries, and there are large productivity capacities, substantial annual turnover. You can figure it out. They got more than 120 million annual turnover in financial year 2002-2003 period. So these are weaknesses that we have identified through our observations. lack of proper organization structure, because you can figure it out. The two main job roles are doing by one person. As example, general manager also doing the production manager's part as well. So, and the next one is inadequate recruitment for job roles. The main reason for that, the company doesn't have a proper HR division to recruitment process, and insufficient supervision for operations. The next one, absence of stock control systems, elevated employee turnover. So the final one is poor machine maintenance and use of depreciated machines leading to increase in rejects. So next, moving to the external factors, the opportunities, the company should focus on product innovation and product differentiations and invest in new machine for efficiency and fewer rejects. This one will be important to get some new technologies inside to the company. As mentioned, in order to, it can be helpful to reduce the reject rates. And the final one is cut unnecessary expenses like air freight. So, and threats, the board of directors of the company, they are living in United Kingdom. Sometimes their decisions can be not suitable for Sri Lankan working environment. So, and the next one is high employee turnover may influence competitor strategies. So company should focus to reduce that employee turnover. And the final one is lower net profit ratio due to high operational costs affecting the going concern concept of the company. Even though company achieved more than 120 million turnover for annual year 2002-2003, but their net profit is just around 330,000. So they have to focus to increase their net profit ratio by reducing their overheads. So we are moving to the root cause analysis. So I would like to invite Ishani.
Thank you. So coming to the comprehensive root cause analysis that we did as the management consultancy group for Tulip Limited. So we see the main key problem as the drop in the production efficiency by 55%. And the key issues are stemming in from 5 key areas: production management, order management, HR policies and procedures, organization structure, and stock management. And coming into the first key problem area, which is production management, this is stemming in from 4 key issues. So first one is having no competent production manager, not having a dedicated maintenance person, which has led to not having regular machinery maintenance. You know, when in a production company, planned maintenance and having the regular maintenance procedures in place is key to attain production efficiencies. So that is one of the biggest problems that we see. And next one is lack of machinery replacement policy, that they are operating with older machines which are older than 7 years, they say. And so it has led to high reject rates, which is settling at 8%, which is very high when compared with the industry reject rates, which is settling at 1%. So the other one is a lack of training for the new recruits that they have recruited for the production management, production department. And coming to order management, so the first one is that they have a MIS system that is in place, but it is not proper. And so we see that as a key problem leading into this. And the next one is lack of planning between 2 locations, which is not so lean, which is important when it comes to the efficiency of a production company. And the other one is not having a competent merchandising manager in the organization. And coming to HR policies and procedures, so the first key one is the unavailability of the HR processes, like the grievance policies and the recruitment policies, and not having a proper incentive scheme. They have several incentive schemes in place which have not really worked, which still causing staff demotivations and leading into high turnover rates and high absenteeism. And coming to the organization structure, so they are not having proper JDs, the proper job assigning is not happening. We see that there is no defined organization structure and a weak recruitment process, weak job descriptions as well. So here is the summary of the comprehensive root cause analysis we did. So let me reiterate the root causes.
not having a defined organization structure, unavailability of an HR department and a policy, lack of proper MIS system, lack of planning between two locations, not having lean management, and not having a competent merchandising manager, not having a dedicated maintenance manager, lack of machinery and a replacement policy, not having a competent production manager, and lack of a stock control system. So with that, I would hand over to Chandra to take over the presentation.
Thank you, Shani. So based on our root cause analysis and the SWOT analysis, so we have decided these recommendations. So one is organizational structure, that company has to redefine the organizational structure and have functional and operation roles clearly. Then unavailability of HR processes is another issue that they have. So they have to set up a HR division very fast, and then they can assign the developing all HR policies under qualified HR manager. Then they can have a lack of, so they don't have a proper MIS system. So most of these systems are isolated, so they can integrate all the system and have a one MIS platform. Then there's no competent merchandising manager in this company, so they have to recruit one qualified merchandising manager. Then they don't have for the machine maintenance, there is no dedicated persons, so we suggest to outsource the machine maintenance to a third party. Then the company can lift off their burdens. Then lack of machinery replacement policy, they have to draft a proper policy and implement that. Then there's no competent production manager, so they can recruit a qualified production manager for the production flow. The lack of stock control system is there, so they have to either purchase or redesign their control stock control system, and they have to implement on the MI system. So next I will call upon Amal to carry out the presentation.
Thank you, Chaminda. So far we discussed the strategies and so far we discussed strategical and operational issues of the company. To solve those issues, that senior management should have competencies. We have recommended these competencies they should have. First of all, strategic thinking. The strategic thinking means the senior management should be able to develop strategies for the company. For that purpose, they should have strategic thinking ability. Then they should be able to analyze the market, and they should be able to analyze the data of the company. Then financial acumen is very important because that shows the results of the company. Then the leadership is very important because they should give proper leadership, and the communication between stakeholders and other external parties. Then project management is a very important one. Then the change management is also another important one because they are going to redesign the organizational structure. Then there will be definitely resistance to change. So they should be able to manage the change and resistance. And risk management, they should be able to understand the risk they are facing and give necessary solution for that. Then they should be able to innovate, implement new strategies for the innovation. Then stakeholder management and problem solving skills. Then negotiation and conflict resolution is also important because most of the time garment factories, they have unions, and they should be able to negotiate with the union. Otherwise labor unrest will be there. Then adaptability, because they have to adapt based on the new changes in the environment. Ethical decision making skill should be there. Global perspective means they should be able to move to the global market and identify what they can do with the global market. Technical proficiency, they should be able to introduce new technology for the company. Measuring and monitoring is very important because once they implement strategies, they should be able to monitor the result. Then team building skills, and finally they should have a long-term vision. That's the very important thing. Those are the core competencies we recommended for the senior management. And this is the end of our presentation. Then the floor is open for the questions.
Group 9.
Good morning. We are group 9. In this presentation, we are going to talk about the Tulip Limited. Why Tulip Limited has been not been success, and what are the role of the senior management when they are doing their strategy turnover, and finally how to overcome their current situation. What are the recommendations of our consultation when considering the why this Tulip company has been not succeed? We can identify lack of leadership in there, because their vision and mission statement is not aligned with the current operations, and the operation insufficiency. There is a gap in the rejections, and their efficiency is low. So and also high absency, and the labor turnover is there in that company, and their machines are very old. So 7 years is old machine they are using. So and their financial mismanagement, their MIS reports and all that also not correct. So that kind of gaps we have been identified. So those are the reasons for their gaps of their success. So when considering the competencies of the KPI peoples, first the managing director, the managing director is the head of the company, and he should have to overall mission and the experience of the organization to direct the company to do success level. So when considering the core competencies of the managing director, he should have to strategic thinking, strategic planning, and visionary leadership qualities, and also at change management, strong decision making, and the industry experience also. So in this case, MD is related to the finance background, so that may be a problem to their inefficiency issue. So when considering the general manager should have to be the overall operation head of the company, and also its operation management. They are when considering the core competencies of his operation management, organization team development, and the problem solving and decision making, and the communication skills they should have to have in the general manager stage. When considering the product manager role, the product manager is the responsible for overall production process of the manufacturing company. So he should have to core competencies like product management, core competencies, and the product operation, optimization qualities, and the quality control competencies. Those kind of core competencies they should have to have. When considering merchandising manager role, is the merchandising manager is who is doing the change of managing customer and the having relationship with their customers and all that. So in that kind of role, the core competencies we have identified: customer relationship management, negotiation skills, and the order management, time management, coordinations, and all kind of core competencies we have identified. So now here are our recommendation. We are going to do 3 kind of recommendations to overcome their current situation to do profitable level. So first one is organization restructuring and role definitions, and the modernize equipments and machine protocols, and address absenteeism and turnover. When considering the organization restructuring and role definition, the centralized product management we are supporting, and appoint a dedicated product manager, because in here the product manager is not having their core competencies. So we are recommend to have an appoint a new product manager with having
right competencies, and empower and train middle management. So it may be a case to lead that high turnover rate of that organization. They are not having trainings. So and also if they are still having a high turnover, maybe newcomers not aligned with their process and all that. So that may be a case to the inefficiency of the company. So other recommendation is the equipment. We are recommending to invest in updating all machineries. It's 7 years old machineries they are using. So enforce power machinery, maintain schedules. So regularly maintained, it's required for that kind of machine. So we are proposing to implement that kind of process in there, and also quality control measures. So according to their vision, they are planning to have a good quality product, but in real scenario they don't have that kind of quality in there. So we are suggest to implement quality control system in the Tulip Company Limited. And finally, their labor turnover issue, they should have to implement comprehensive employee welfare programs to retain their employees and have the relationship with the management and the other employees. And also performance-based incentive system. They already have 3 incentive systems, but that may be not sufficient to or not addressing the real problem of the company. So that because of that, we are suggesting to implement performance-based incentive system to retain their employees with them. So this is the end of our presentation. Thank you.
Group 10. Group number is group 9, but no, you are 9. I think they also 10 9. Anyway, we can match. Yeah, 9. You are 9. They are. We have to check later. So what was the group that just presented? 9. You're also 9. How many groups? Yeah, 9. My friend. Nine and a half. Okay. They are 10. They are 10. Yes. First one. What's the company you are studying? Okay, thank you. We are group 9. Okay, we'll move forward. As the brief, the agenda we are putting mainly in the background and organization chart and the performance evaluation and role of the senior management, core competencies, and the strategy formulation, implementation, and action plan. Those are the way forward. We are looking for the. We are looking forward the one. Okay. Then the basic background of the company. This is a medium-sized apparel manufacturing company established in 1993 and located in Gampaha area. And the company was acquired by the trading house based in London and involved in the textile and apparel industry. This is the organization chart, managing director and the general manager also there, and some kind of production manager, merchandise manager, finance manager, and the supervisor and HR officer also involved in the organization chart. Then move the
performance evaluation of the company. We are putting basically 6 ideas for this one. Personal relationships and the teamwork among the employees are not much adequate for the current scenario, and the employee has to play the multiple roles for the working career, and the job delegation, assigning responsibilities at poor level in the company. We are mainly point out, and currently they are not individually get the ownership for the working, and the poor cost control issues also we are looking, and the insufficient layout structure. Those are the way forwardly we are checked those company for the performance evaluation here. Roles of the senior management and competencies of the company involvements. Managing director is already a good industrial exposure, and the sound finance background also we think, and he required some adequate experience of the management, acquire the strategic management aspects also, and the general manager already has a sound electronic engineering background. Overseas experience also, motivation to improve the operations, and he needs some kind of technically some kind of operation management idea more than the engineering backgrounds, and the production manager is still not there, and he need to recruit experienced person with the relevant professional background in the production management systems with the related one, and the merchandise manager prior experience he has stores and other things, and the production mix he need to improve production mix and selection, sourcing, and vendor management and inventory management he need to improve, and those are the required competencies for those one. Then the finance manager there, the part of the qualified accountant and the experience on the finance fields, and the good analytical skills also here, and he need to cost optimization, intend some kind of stocks control idea, and some background, some kind of budgetary forecasting one he need to improve one, and the merchandise manager supervisor machinery supervisor exposed to the machinery maintenance. He have a good idea for the highly some kind of technical knowledge, and the some responsibilities he can get it, and he required to improve, especially in the maintenance side, and some kind of soft skills, and the inventory controls also he need to ask the supervisor, and the HR officer also exposed to the handling HR functions currently are doing, and he should be able to control the employees, and the HR qualifications improved in own ideas the things, and those are the strategy formulation and implementation for the company. We are putting the 6 numbers for the formulation, provide the adequate training for the personnel, and the development, improve the competencies of the employees as the main thing of the this company, and design the implementation process, some kind of SOP and some data analysis one need to improve the clearly recommend the employees then, and implement the TPM, some kind of other improve the machinery downtime issues. They need to implement on high level of employee engagement, expecting the vision company of the they need to clearly identify, and the lean management, lean manufacturing principles also recommend for the company layout structure also need to high efficiency level, and cost analysis and quality control mechanism to be implemented for the this company we are putting. As the lastly, we are putting some kind of action plan. We are putting have the clear vision and strategy objectives, identify the performance gaps the company, and ensure the placement meets the job requirements, get the action plan and process re-engineering we are suggesting, and plan, introduce a KPI and monitor the evaluate the performance, and introduce the rewards and recognition programs for the company. Those are the action plans we are putting as the basically company improvements. Those are the things we are identified. Thank you very much.
Right. So thank you very much, all the group that has presented today. Quite a interesting analysis and depth. So thanks for that. Of course, my feedback was not based on individual presentation. It was more general so that you all can learn from each other. With regards to overall presentation, excellent. Lot of learnings there. You need to be mindful of few things as a consultant, right? That's it. So we will close there. Then next week, will be my last session as discussion, teaching, whatever. We'll have a guest lecturer as well. And then we will wrap it up there. Then the following week is a 5-hour session, continuous. We'll start at 8 sharp, and then we finish at 1. So be here as many people as possible on the last session. So do the presentation. I've spoken to 1 or 2 companies. They are not too happy to have a group, everybody present there. So it's okay. I told them, look, it's fine. You know, there's nothing competitive information in that. So it should be fine. Okay. If there's any issue, I'll let you know on the day. Okay. On the day, it's just half an hour each presentation, 20 minutes presentation, 10 minutes Q&A. So keep to your time. You must time. Today you saw, right? Even though it was 10 minutes, some took 20 minutes and so on. And don't come to the computer and start changing your numbers, saying, I got it wrong, I need to update it. You know, and then at least know what group number you are, or at least somewhat, at least coming to the end of the session, know your group, or at least your group members who should be presenting, all that. Please clear it before you come to the final session. Yeah. Any questions? No. Okay, good. All right. So we'll wrap it up there, and I'll see you next week. Thank you.